Hi, I'm Sarah from Extraordinary Chaos and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to show you how to make this spells layered file. So usually I just produce the file and I just pop it onto my website and you can go on, download it and cut it, and you still can do that. I'm going to show you how to get these letters that are free on my site, but I'm also going to show you how to weld them all together, how to create the spider web pattern in the letter, and how I layer my file. So I'm going to take you through opening Cricut Design Space to cutting these and putting them together. It's really simple to do and it's just a great skill to have if you want to make a personalised card, or if you want to put a name on the top or anything. It's a really good and easy tutorial, and at first I think sometimes it can seem a bit daunting creating something from scratch, but it's just not that difficult in Design Space. So follow along with me and I'm going to show you how you make it. I will make all of these files available in a post so that you can use them all separately and build it yourself, but you can make anything. It's the process of making it is that I want to show you. So for this file I've got 4 colours of cardstock. So we've got black glitter, and then I've got 3 Halloween colours, so my favourite time of year. So I've got an orange, a green and a purple. Glue, I use Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue, and then I've also got some acrylic gel pens. So these are HTV Want ones, just to add a few details. Okay, so are you ready? Let's get going. We're going to start by opening Design Space and starting the new project. You need to upload the files that I've created so that you can access the numbers and letters, and then we're going to get them all onto your canvas. I've uploaded my letters. I've also uploaded some images. So I've got a hat, some books, and I've got 3 print and cut images. Now, I know you can't use print and cut on this project, but you can convert it, and that's what I want to show you. So I've got my cauldron that I drew myself, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into operations and I'm going to change it just to a basic cut, and that will make it a solid cut image. But that's taken away the top detail. This is really easy to remedy. You just go into shapes, and that's on the left hand side. So that's it, pop up there to shapes, grab yourself a semicircle, go to the top bar and find the padlock and unlock it, and then you can just drag it to make that shape. I'll make the shape so that that looks like it's the top of my cauldron, and then once I'm happy with the shape I can just slice it out. And it's just about, when you're using elements, just playing, because it's actually, there's so much you can do. So I'm going to select all there, right click, select all, but I've selected too much, so I just want the 2 layers. Go to the bottom and click slice, and that's removed it, and that's all I needed to do. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it back to black because they just look better, it's a bit more solid, and the hat. Then we've got the bat. So the bat I'm going to change to a cut image 2. That is totally fine being solid because I just want the silhouette, so go and change it to black. My books are fine, so it's just the broomstick now, and again change it to black. Obviously when you do something that's printable, you've got a lot more detail. So they are my elements for the project. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort through my letters. So I've got spells, so I just need to duplicate my L, and that's everything I've got for this file. So they're quite thin, the letters, but what I tend to do is I tend to put an offset on when I weld them. You'll see more about that later, and it just makes it easier to weld together. But what I'm going to do is I've chosen 2 letters and I want to make them into a spider's web letter. So I'm going to just make that a bit smaller, and then I'm going to duplicate it. I think what I might do is add an offset. So I'm going to go to the top and add an offset and just make it a really tiny one, just because you don't want it too thin when you cut it out. That's it, and then I'll duplicate that. That's the layout I'm going to work with. Now I'm going to make my L into a spider's web. So I'm going to duplicate the letter L, and then I'm going to go back to the original L and get rid of the contours. This will make sense in a minute. Now we're going to position the L under the spider's web, and we're going to slice it out. But what I'm going to do is just make sure I position it so that I've got a nice cut and it's positioned how I like it. So probably like that. Then I'm going to right click the 2 layers and click slice. Now what that's going to do is slice out and make a really nice spider's web pattern, so I can get rid of all the excess. Then I'm going to come back and bring my original L over the top, and that's why I duplicated it. Select all, and I'm going to go to the align tool and click center. So you can see there's still some bits sticking over the top of my L. But now what I can do is I can go into that L layer, send that to the back, click on the right layer, and I can just put a tiny offset off that, and that will get rid of it, and that's gone. So now I'm going to select all, and I'm going to click weld. Weld that together, and that's how you make a spider letter. It's super easy. So I'm going to do the P now. So the P is slightly different because obviously it's got a hole in the middle, so you've got to think about that. So I've duplicated my P. I'm going to hide all the contours but open the middle one up so that it still won't cut that out because we don't want it there. And then I'm going to position again my spider's web to get it just right. And I think probably like that. Oh, slice it. And there you go. And that looks a bit odd, but once it's in the P, it looks really good. And now because I've cut the centre out, it's just made it all a bit easier. So I'm going to go again to my align tool, centre it. I love that tool. Go to my original letter and then create just a tiny offset, and that gets rid of all that excess. Then I can weld it together. I'm not 100% happy with that, so I'm just going to undo it. So go back and click the undo tool, and then I'm just going to adjust it slightly and re-weld it, and that looks better. Now it's time to build our words. So we've got our two spider letters, and what you'll notice is they're a lot thicker than the other letters, but that will all start to take shape as we build the file. So we're going to start by positioning the S and the P. I'm going to get the P, and what you've got to decide when you're building a word, because everything overlaps, is which is going to be the dominant. So my P is going to be the dominant one, and you're going to do it so the S doesn't affect it, but they're together. So I'm going to duplicate the P. Then I'm going to go to the original. Oh, I've done the wrong one, so I'll just swap them. And I've removed all the contours. So for this, I can just remove all the contours, because what I'm going to do is slice out my letter here. I've done it so it's touching part of my S so I don't lose, because otherwise that will just fall away. And then I'm going to pop my P back, and then I can put them together. But before I do that, I'm just going to put the same 0.025 offset back in and weld them together. Not duplicate, select all, and weld. So there's my two first letters. So again, now we're going to do the E. So which is going to be dominant and which is going to be the one over the top. But I think the P is just too nice to hide. So I'm going to just put my E where I want it, and that's really important. Then I'm going to duplicate the S and the P. I'm going to remove the contours on this because that's going to be the dominant level, and I'm going to slice it out, and that has just removed all of the excess from the E, and I can now just pop those back on, add the offset, and then weld them together. And doing that offset at the last minute really helps. It stops you getting any gaps or missing any bits, because it can be a bit fiddly. So on this occasion, I want the L to be the dominant. I want that to sit over the top. So I'm going to duplicate the L, get rid of that, hide the contour on this L, and slice out the underneath E. So you're starting to build up a pattern, and it's just about removing areas you don't want there, and it's just quite simple once you get your head around it. Sometimes I just start and see where it ends up. So now I'm going to weld that together. We don't need to add an offset there because we've already added it. And then we've got our next L. Find that. So I'm going to sit that slightly behind again. So now my word will become the more dominant. The spider letters just are too nice to hide. So now I've done that wrong. I need to duplicate that. Sometimes you get confused. And now remove the contours. You don't have to, it's easier just to click hide all rather than just move bits. Select all, slice. And it just means you've got no overlapping bits on the files. You know when you get bits of bitty words where you've welded together, you don't get any of that, and that's what I love. So I'm going to add my offset. Apply. And weld it all together. So I've just got my letter S to add now, my last one. So I'm going to pop the S behind because I want to try and catch at least one of the bits in the middle, because then otherwise I find I lose them when I cut them out. So if I can just catch one and then I can just stick the other one on, then that always works for me. So that's going to be the back letter. So the dominant is going to be the front, the word. So duplicate that. And then you can just get rid of the contour, obviously, in the L, but it's just easy to click remove all. Slice. And get rid of that. If you move that away, that's all there. Just get rid of the lot. And then you pop your S in. Add your contour. You just want to make sure it's all touching. That's really, really important. As I say, I have got the files if you just want to make them yourself, but I just thought it's nice to teach people how to do it and actually create the project rather than me just keep providing them. It's not, some people just want to do their own, don't they? So there you go. So there's spells, and that was really easy to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build the top, and I don't know where this is going, but this is always how I roll. So I'm probably not going to put it on the end. I'm looking there. I think it'll be better on the top to create more of a squarer file. That would look good on a t-shirt, or it'll be good as a welcome sign. And of course, if we've got a potion thing, we want a broomstick. So just position that. I'm not going to overlay these. I'm just going to add them so that they're touching. As long as they're touching, that's all that matters. So just adjust that. Pop that in there. Get rid of the heart, because I don't think witches have hearts on their books, do they? Or do they? I don't know. Then we're going to add the bat and just position it. And what I'm doing is I'm positioning it so that everything's touching. You don't have to, but then otherwise you're sticking stuff together, and I just find it a real faff. I want my files to be as fluid as possible, and then I can just layer them and duplicate them, cut them out, they're done. So I'm going to weld this together. And I'm really, really pleased with that. And this is literally how I create my files. I just start playing and see what works and what I like and see where I end up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make this into a layered file. So that could be used with HTV. It can be used as it is for a scrapbooking layout, and you can put pictures behind them. But what I want to do is make it as a multi-layered file with different colours. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the first layer. And this is how I create my layered files and make them. So I'll get rid of the spider's web now, and I'm going to remove some contours on this layer. Now when you're designing, I find, and I think this is quite important just to save time cutting and a lot of faffing, that when you go into your contour tool, you get rid of the awkward stuff first, and then it just makes it easier. So I'm going to get rid of the spider's webs, and they're going to be part of my solid area for my layer 2. So I'll speed it up a bit because it's a bit boring to watch. But I'm just going through and getting rid of just the spider's webs for now. And I think I'll get rid of the cauldron, and I'm going to make that a green layer. So I've got my green spider's webs, and the centre of my cauldron is also going to be green. And that's how you build up your file. So I'm working on my second layer. And once I've created my contours in my second layer, then I will duplicate that for my third layer. So it's like a process, a rolling process. So we'll duplicate this, and then we're going to move that out of the way, put that to the back because that's the first and second layer, and I'm going to change that green, and you will see the green peeking out underneath, and that's how the file starts to build up. So you can see now that why it's so important that I've got to now work on that layer to remove more contours. And now we're going to decide on what to remove next. So we're going to go for the book and get rid of the books. Again, get rid of the little things first. And then I'm going to have to go down the side to find those tiny bits. If it's big, it's actually easier just to do it on the image. You can pick at it, but for tiny stuff, you have to find it on the side. And now we can start to choose letters as well. So I'm going to get rid of, on this one, the S and the other L. It's just about having a bit of balance through it so that the colour spreads through the file really well. So we've got a few little bits to get rid of there. Then I'm going to get rid of that, and there you go. So that's our next layer. So now duplicate it and put one up on the project. Put it to the back and colour it. So that's going to be an orange layer. And it's starting to take shape now. I'm really, really happy with that. The top black layer is going to be glittery, so that will really stand out. And now it's time to do the last layer. Now, you could remove all contours, but I like to have spaces between, so I'm not going to do that. So I forgot to duplicate my file there, so I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to turn it back black, just because I like working with a black solid image for some reason. That's better. And then I'm going to now go into the contour tool, and I want to remove the contours on the E and on the S, so that they'll be solid. And that's my back layer. All I need to do now is colour it. So I'm going to put it at the back, and I'm going to colour this layer purple. And there you go. You've created your very own layered cut file, built from scratch. So it's just about having a play. So I'm going to just size all that. I tend to cut a lot out on A4 now, because glitter card is so much cheaper on A4, so I tend to do that. So I'm just going to make sure that it's in the right size to cut, and then I'm going to send it to my Cricut to cut. So save project, so spells, save, and as I say, I'll give you all the elements so that you can build this yourself, or you can try something completely different. Confirm, and there they are, all ready to cut out. And there you go, it's all cut out. Now I am going to speed this up, because otherwise it's just really boring. But I'm going to start from my front layer, and the reason I start with the front layer is because otherwise you might get glue on an area you don't want to stick it onto. So I always put it on the back. So I've lined them all up so I know which order they're in. So I'm going to flip that over now and pop that in. Now, because I'm using the acrylic shimmer glue, it slides, and I love the fact that you can just slide it a bit. Just unblocking my glue nozzle. But now I'm going on to my next layer. So again, onto the back, and then you flip it over and pop it on to the next layer. And you just start to work in a pattern and work in a flow. I use my hook to pick it up if it's fiddly. Slide it about, get it just right. And then I'm ready for my last layer. And they're super easy to build, and I just love how effective these files are. You can make anything, and it's also great for a cake topper. I'm really struggling with this glue thing today. I think I'm ready for a new applicator bottle. And we're just ready for the last layer, and there you go. So again, just make sure it's all slid into place, and that's why I just love this glue, because it doesn't dry straight away and it wipes off. Then I've just got my last two little bits to put in off my S's, but I just prefer to create files that have got less to add. I find it faffy. I haven't got the patience for that, and I just find it easier. It's good if you're working with card, especially in cake toppers. So acrylic pen to add some detail. So I'm just going to add some dots on these two letters. And I just love these dots. They just finish off a project. And then we're going to add some dots on the green. So I'm going to get like a bright green, just to add a few bubbles. And then there you go, one finished layered file. Hopefully you've crafted along and you've designed one yourself as well. There you go. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Any questions, do bob me a line. And as I say, you can download these letters if you haven't already from the link below. They're going to be in the post, so you'll have all of the letters to make this and the elements. So you've got your cauldron, your bat, your broomstick and your books. In the video I showed you how to make them from printable into SVG or into cut images, but I'm going to provide the cut images for you anyway. And if you want the full alphabet, there's also a link from that in that post so that you can get the full alphabet. Okay, so thank you for crafting along.